traveling by train for the rest of our trip. We leave Strasbourg and say goodbye to France as we pass through Luxembourg on our way to Brussels, Belgium. Getting a chance to relax, we sit back and enjoy the countryside. The train didn't seem that old, but it was surprising that when you use the bathroom, you can look down through the toilet and see the tracks moving below you. Arriving at the Brussels train station was a bit of a shock, since we were deposited right in the middle of a financial district downtown. So getting our bearings and finding the correct streets took a little bit of time. The adult toy store we were supposed to meet our landlord at was closed, so we had to give him a call and wait for him at a McDonald's. But after settling in, we managed to make our way down to the Grand Platz, the big plaza in the middle of Old Town. The buildings were impressive, with enormous Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque facades. This one here was undergoing renovation, and we stopped to watch them apply some gold leaf. These are the guild houses. Most of these buildings date back to the late 1690s, because in 1695, France invaded Belgium, and under control of King Louis XIV, most of these buildings were destroyed. But because of the wealth of the guilds, the buildings were rebuilt within 5 years. One of the structures that did survive was the City Hall. It's a bit unusual, since it was built in stages, and each one had a different architect. So you may notice that it's not symmetrical, with a lot of architectural differences between the left and the right side, including square windows on one side and arched ones on the other. Nearby, we stopped at a local pub that was recommended by TripAdvisor. It has a great atmosphere and is known for its large number of beers. I had a local Belgian beer recommended by our server, and Miriam had a Linderman's raspberry beer. With our thirst satisfied, we headed on out to the main drag. This building used to be the stock exchange, but is being turned into a beer museum. We did a little shopping, and we even found a clothing store that had some incredibly cheap prices. I bought a t-shirt for €250, and Miriam bought a sweater for $7. We also stopped into a grocery store and bought some of our favorite Summerbees apple cider. Well, it's time to start looking for dinner again, and we're in a touristy part of town. That usually means high prices and mediocre food. So we finish up the evening with a walk through the Grand Plaza at night. The next morning we're back at the Grand Plaza for a 2.5-hour walking tour of the city.
Okay, so we are going to start this fantastic tour, okay? Well, my name is Miriam. So if you have any question during the tour, please ask me. Even if you have to interrupt me or something like that, you can do it, of course. This is a dialogue. Okay. The brewers, okay? The people who make the beer. So this was one of the most important guild houses here, because this river, I told you, the river Seine, was really contaminated, really contaminated. There were so many illnesses and so many problems with cholera. Drinking beer instead of water, okay? So the average in these Middle Ages for the Belgian population was 400 liters per year and person, okay? Because of this cholera and these illnesses. The beer for the people who don't like it is the lambic type. Okay, the lambic beer, because it has very low content in alcohol, only 3% or something like that, and also it has flavors with peach, honey, apple, strawberry, cherry. So it depends on if you prefer this cider or if you prefer the flavors. Here we have two kinds. It depends on if you like sweet or not. if you like sweet, you have this Liège waffle. It's the waffles that you can find all over the city, okay, in all places. It's this waffle with irregular borders, okay, it's not perfect, okay, and it's very, very, very sweet, very sweet. Also, it has pieces of sugar, okay, you can notice the sugar, okay, but then if you don't like sweet, you have the Brussels waffle, okay. The Brussels waffle, it's a perfect rectangle, okay, like this. It's a bit bigger, but it's not so much sweet, okay. And the traditional one is only with sugar on the top. On the Liège waffle, you can put, you know, ice cream, strawberries, cream, whatever, chocolate. But on the Brussels waffle, you put only sugar on the top. But the thing is that the Brussels waffle is not so easy to find, okay? But here, this brand, Maison d'Andois, is the best brand here in Brussels, not in other cities in Belgium, but here in Brussels, and they have both waffles. So maybe you can take both and you can compare, because so many people like the Brussels waffle more than the Liège waffle, okay? So, well, another recommendation for you. And what is the history of the Manneken? Well, it's pretty small and I have to disappoint you more, so sorry, because this is not the original statue. Okay, this is a copy from a copy from a copy from a copy, because also he is one of the most stolen statues in the city and in the country. You know, if you have a symbol, all the armies and all the people in conflict passing through the country are going to steal the symbol. That's a normal thing. Okay, so the authorities don't care if the Manneken disappeared, they put another copy. But it's true that we have the oldest copy dating from the very beginning of the 17th century inside that museum of the city. But even we know that this copy is not original, because it's made in bronze like this, and we have documents and paintings with the Manneken made in a stone. And there are dozens of legends talking about the Manneken Pis. I am going to tell you 3, and then you can decide what story you like most, okay? The first says that in this house used to live a witch, you know, Middle Ages witches, very ugly, stupid witch, and one day one boy was running down the street and he needed to pee. Okay, so he started peeing on the corner of the witch house, and as you can imagine, the witch went completely mad and she made a spell on the boy, turning him into stone. Okay, as a warning to the population. And you can think, what a silly idea, a witch and a boy in a stone, blah blah blah. Wow. Today, if you pee on the street, be careful, okay? You are going to be fined with 150 euros. But what happened in the Middle Ages with all these people drinking beer? The beer is diuretic, you know, you need to pee. And well, all these people peeing on the street, so it's not very healthy. So they have to invent some stories to afraid the population and to avoid them doing different things, okay? So well, maybe it's not a silly story. The second story says that there was an army entering in silence very quietly in the middle of the night to the Grand Place, okay? They put some dynamite and explosive to blow up the Grand Place, and also they put a fuse going out the street, okay, a fuse, and they put on the fire, and a little boy saw all the scene, and he started peeing on the fuse to turn off the fire. So we have here another little national hero. And the third and the last story says that here in this area there was the market of the pea in these Middle Ages. Yeah, the market of the pea. Do you know for what is the pea needed?
No, I don't.
Not at all?
To take leather and make it white?
Yes, that's true, for tanning, okay, yeah, for working with leather, with the skins, okay, to later to do the clothes, okay, and also in these Middle Ages for making cosmetics. I hope that today they use other things, okay, I am not sure of that, but yeah, I saw, but yeah, they use the ammonium, this chemical substance, okay, the ammonium, to make also cosmetics. Sorry. Okay, so little children were paid to be here, okay, in bags, and then they well, a few coins, and of course, because of the urine of the children were purer than the adults one. Okay, so probably so many children save their families from starving with these few corners.
On our walk, Miriam also told us some history of the Belgian chocolate, and how it started with a Swiss pharmacist covering his pills in chocolate to get an edge over the competition. She also told us that 75% of all the diamonds in the world pass through Brussels. Here we see one of the last remaining sections of the city walls, and just down the street is the biggest courthouse in the world, Brussels' Palace of Justice. In the distance we saw the Atonium, a structure built for the 1958 World's Fair.
Beautiful park. As I told you, Brussels is full of parks, okay? And probably this is one of the smallest, but at the same time it's one of the most beautiful, okay? In all the park, this is called Le Petit Sablon. This is a very nice church. It's called Notre-Dame du Sablon, Our Lady. Okay? In Belgium, most of the churches and cathedrals are Gothic style, Bravantine Gothic style, the same in the Grand Place, on the outside. But in the inside, they have a completely different furniture for that, from that centuries. They have Baroque style, a completely different style. And you can think about why. There is Gothic style on the outside and there is Baroque style in the inside. Well, we have to see it, so we are going to go inside, okay? The most important element from the period here in this country were the pulpits. This was the place where the priest gave the sermon. The pulpit dedicated in the cathedral is about the expulsion of Adam and Eve from the paradise, and it's pretty amazing. It's strange to see church in a Catholic church, okay, instead of pews. This part of Europe was always a field for fights, so there were so many armies passing all the time through the cities, through the towns, through the villages. Okay, so they discovered, and they usually stayed inside the churches, okay, because of the rain and all these things. So they discovered during this little Protestant period that it was easier to put away the church when the army was here sleeping or eating or whatever than the pews. So when they did the restoration of the churches, they keep the church as a practical thing for these armies. So they have remained until today. I mean, the idea of having church, of course the church are not from the 16th or 17th century. Okay, so yeah, now you're going to find church in all the Catholic temples in Belgium, and it's a very strange thing, but this is because of these armies.
This is the Grand Palace. It used to be on the riverfront, but in order to make the large boulevard they wanted in front of it, they covered the river over, and the river now runs beneath the boulevard and the plaza. This area is called the Mont Arts, and it has a great view of the city. This is the carillon at Mont Arts. It consists of 24 bells and 12 painted figurines, each representing a historic figure from Brussels history. And it's all topped with a jacquemart, ringing out the hours.
Pay attention to the man on the top. Wait a minute. Okay.
Our last stop is the Gothic St. Michael's and St. Gudula Cathedral. As we say goodbye to our great guide Miriam, we head on over to a sandwich shop we read about on the internet. It's owned by the cheesemonger Tonton Garby, who explains some of his favorite cheeses.
But for example, you take it with you. You go walking in the city. In 2 hours, you begin to smell it. In 4 hours, the people near you do this. In 6 hours, the people in front of you know that you have cheese. Right? Because bonjour mademoiselle. Hi. Because this is smelly. The Belgian people don't let it on the fridge, always outside. Because more smelly, more tasty. That one is pecorino sardo. Sardinia cheese, going with chorizo. Belgian chorizo, not Spanish chorizo, not spicy at all. Tasty. You want to taste first? Taste. Taste costs nothing, madam. Ma'am, here it's possible to taste everything without problem, and you leave. You don't have to buy. I'm not working here, it's my shop. Just taste it for your pleasure. You don't like it, you throw it then.
We ended up with a cheese sandwich with apple slices, with a spread of apple and pear sauce, along with a banana and pear milkshake. Our next stop is just a short walk away, the Musical Instrument Museum. The building itself was quite interesting. It was an old elaborate department store, built around 1899. The museum was large, covering over 4 floors. And the audio guide was nice. It didn't just tell you about the instruments you were looking at, but let you sample some of their music. After the museum, we stopped in the Maison d'Amboy to sample the 2 kinds of Belgian waffles side by side. We both thought the street waffles were actually better. Wanting to wet my whistle, we stopped in at the highly recommended Delirium Cafe. Besides the fun atmosphere, would you believe they have close to 2,500 different beers available? That's just insane! Well, it's time for dinner, but this time we have a recommendation from our guide, Miriam. Marianne had butternut soup, and I had a local specialty called stomp. Well, it's back to our apartment above the Pink Store to say goodbye to Brussels. For tomorrow we're back on the train for our trip to Bruges.